Here's the deal. Something truly odd unfolds the moment you start coming to your senses. Once you ease up on treating life like a high-stakes competition, once you catch the grand punchline of the universe, you turn into, well, a bit of a problem. You start grating on folks who remain deeply immersed in their slumber, still gripping tightly to their personas, their facades, their meticulously built ideas of identity. You're not out to annoy anybody. Far from it. You're just existing, inhaling deeply, strolling through existence with a subtle ease, a quiet liberation. Yet that exact liberation, that serene vibe you embody, it stirs unease in those around you. It shakes up their enclosures without them grasping the reason. Music. Ever spotted this pattern? You enter a space utterly composed, warmly approachable, and suddenly someone's glaring like you've offended their whole lineage. Not a single utterance from you. No misstep on your part. Music, yet your mere aura triggers some hidden alert in their psyche. What's at play? Why does your tranquility unsettle them so? Why do your choices to sidestep the usual interpersonal dances spark such odd responses? Allow me to explain the underlying dynamic. As you rouse yourself, as you pierce the veil of isolated identity, as you detach from the self's frantic cravings, music, you transform into a reflection. And reflections, let's face it, can prove profoundly disconcerting. They reveal truths people prefer to avoid, not due to any criticism from you, not an attempt to shame them, but merely because your mode of being has shifted. You're no longer following the familiar script, leaving the self in others, music, exceedingly on edge. So let's explore the 5 manners in which others' selves might respond to your emergence. Not to foster any sense of superiority, of course. That'd merely invite your own self to slip in unnoticed, music, but to grasp the situation. To reply with empathy rather than bewilderment. To stay steady on your journey amid these responses. When you cease shielding yourself, when you skip rationalizing your decisions, when you utter a plain refusal sans lengthy justifications, an unusual shift occurs. Folks grow agitated. They insist on clarifications. They expect you to demonstrate valid grounds, music, for your lifestyle. See, the self thrives on assessing. It relishes scrutinizing, weighing, music, deciding if another's path aligns with its standards. And should you decline this ritual, withholding your existence from review, the self feels deprived. It perceives you as impolite, unjust, perhaps even conceited. But consider this, you're under no obligation to account for your being. No approval is required for your presence, no defense needed for your calm, your selections, your approach to navigating reality. Back when you were oblivious, you likely poured vast efforts into clarifying yourself to others, validating your path as rightful. Yet now you've escaped that snare. You've understood that endless justifications won't quench the self's drive for dominance. Consequently, irritation builds. Accusations fly that you're deeming yourself superior. Claims arise that you've grown aloof, detached, hard to connect with, but you haven't altered as they imagine. You've merely quit the act, ceased trying out for parts in their theatrics. And the lovely part? No debate required. No need to safeguard your choice to forgo self-protection. Perhaps you just offer a gentle grin and proceed, akin to a stream gliding past an obstacle. The obstacle may protest endlessly, yet the stream persists onward. Second, they'll probe you to check your authenticity. This one's intriguing. When individuals detect you've attained a measure of serenity or insight beyond their grasp, they frequently feel compelled to challenge it. It's akin to declaring indifference to a matter, only for them to instantly target that exact issue. They nudge, they tease, they voice music remarks crafted to elicit a response. What's driving this? The self within craves evidence that you're faking it. Music. It seeks to expose that beneath your steady surface, you're equally fretful, equally impulsive, music equally ensnared as they feel. Should they provoke a crack, a slip in poise, a sharp retort, they can reject your essence. They can retreat into denial, reassured. You could encounter others dredging up past disputes, music, referencing triggers from your history, engineering scenarios to press your limits. A coworker might abruptly nitpick your every move. A relative could revive that perennial conflict starter. A companion might remark on your transformation, how you've lost your spark, how you're overly solemn now or not quite. Curiously enough, this is what's truly fascinating. If you respond by getting defensive, furious, or distressed, their ego triumphs. It can then claim, "Look, I was right. You're not truly serene. It's all just a facade." Yet, if you stay unruffled and centered without reacting, their ego grows even more agitated since it can't brush you off anymore. At that point, it must confront the chance that your state music could actually be authentic. So, how do you handle it? You allow them to probe, let them jab and question, not to demonstrate your point, but simply because it no longer phases you. Music, you've pierced the illusion. You recognize their probing as merely their inner anxiety surfacing, their ego shielding itself against the threat of transformation. Point 3. They'll spread rumors and fabricate tales about you. Once you withdraw from the endless turmoil of everyday social interactions, ceasing the gossip, the grievances, the maneuvers of loyalty and deceit, something intriguing unfolds. You turn into fodder for their chatter. Folks will invent narratives around you. They might claim you believe you're superior to the rest, or that you've turned odd, detached, overly mystical, lacking in practicality. They'll ponder what's ailing you. What shifted to make you so altered? And they'll murmur all this in your absence, spinning hypotheses and rationales for your conduct. Why does this occur? The ego craves comprehension. When an individual deviates from familiar routines, it unsettles the egos in those around. It demands to classify, to tag, to slot you into a compartment it can grasp. And should no suitable compartment exist, it will invent music one. Often, a compartment portraying you as defective, silly, or deluded somehow. You could learn secondhand that whispers suggest you've suffered a collapse, or you're enduring a temporary spell, or you've fallen into some eccentric spiritual sect. The tales will differ, but they'll share a core trait. Each will seek to diminish your shift in a manner that safeguards their personal perspective. Music. And here's the key. You can't halt it. You have no sway over their words about you. Attempting to do so by chasing down clarifications, debunking the rumors, or restoring the truth will drain you completely. It'll drag you straight back into the chaos you're striving to escape. The enlightened approach is to permit their chatter, allow them to craft their tales, let them rumor mill and speculate and fret over you if that's their choice. Those tales aren't about you regardless. They're reflections of their personal anxieties, their aversion to evolution, music, their reluctance to challenge the roles they're locked into. As the saying goes, others' opinions of you are not your affair. Music. And truly, they're not. You're not the figure in their narrative. You're just navigating your journey, staying mindful, embracing conscious existence. Everything else is mere static. Point 4. They'll attempt to lure you into former habits. This can prove especially challenging. Music, particularly with long-standing connections, relatives, long-time companions, those who knew the pre-awakened version of you. They recall that prior self, the one who joined the rivalries, who flared up over the same triggers, who dove into the standard conflicts, and now you've evolved. Your responses differ. You avoid the familiar disputes. Music. You step out of your previous spot in the household rhythm or the circle's interplay, and that discomforts them deeply, profoundly so. So their move, they seek to reel you in again. Music. They'll dredge up past recollections to jog your memory of your former identity. They'll draw you toward outdated interaction styles. They'll stage scenarios demanding your classic performance. And should you resist, they'll voice disappointment, bewilderment, or annoyance. A parent could remark, "It's quote chacun." A pal might gripe that you're no longer yourself, that your wit has vanished, that you're dull company now. A relative might charge you with feeling too elite for the clan these days. It implies that perhaps they could evolve as well. And that's a terrifying notion for the ego. Music. Evolution brings unpredictability. Evolution risks dismantling the safe routines. Thus, they counter your growth by pushing to revert you to your old self. But reversion is impossible. Even if you wished it, you couldn't manage it. After glimpsing beyond the mirage, after sampling genuine liberation, those prior modes feel like outdated garments that pinch. Music. You can cherish these individuals, you can offer them warmth, you can share moments with them, but you can't feign being the person you've outgrown merely to ease their minds. So, your strategy? Stay grounded, stay clear's throat, compassionate, yet sidestep the traps. When they nudge you toward a recycled debate, you don't engage. E. Music. If someone attempts to shame you for evolving, resist the urge to argue back. Just embody the person you've become, confident that they'll either adapt to this fresh dynamic or they won't. Regardless, you stay committed to your journey. Fifth, folks might feel uneasy around you. This could be the quietest yet most profound response. Once you've stirred to awareness, detached from the ego and its endless dramas, your mere vibe starts to unsettle those still lost in deep slumber. You're not messing up or criticizing them, not condescending or aiming to unsettle. Actually, you could be gentler, more attuned, and truly engaged with them than ever. Yet, something in your aura, your essence, leaves them fidgeting. How come? Awareness spreads like wildfire. In your grounded state, free from the mind's non-stop buzz, just existing creates a void, a pocket of calm, a realm of clarity. Within that void, their inner ego noise rings out sharply to them. They glimpse, even faintly, the racket in their thoughts. They notice their tension, their unease, their endless itch to be elsewhere, occupied differently, posing as another self. Music. Your serenity highlights their turmoil. Your quiet underscores their frenzy. Rather than seizing this as a chance to probe their habits, the ego jumps to fault you for their disquiet. It's on you that they feel off-kilter. You're overly solemn, too composed, too hushed. There has to be something off with you if you're not matching their frenzy, hustle, and frets. You may spot how people avoid quiet moments with you. They cram every pause with talk. They probe your thoughts, sense trouble, wonder at your reserve. They read your being as scorn, though it's purely being. They cast their aversion to calm, to quiet, to mere existence onto you. And here's the stunning twist. What rattles them, your alert presence, is precisely their medicine. Your poise beckons them to pause. Your calm extends a shot at tranquility. Your liberation hints that liberty awaits. Yet the ego fights this call tooth and nail. Embracing it spells the ego's end. It demands dropping the charades, the narratives, the frantic bids to affirm its reality. Thus, some will steer clear of you. They'll conjure reasons to skip hangouts. They'll fade from your world. And that's fine. You can't compel awakening. You can't haul them toward insight. All that's yours is authenticity, plus faith that the prepared will gravitate to your essence. Some may label you critical. Despite your neutrality, proximity to one who's opted out of the fray feels like scrutiny. Your life alone probes their picks, wordlessly. Pure projection. They critique themselves, then sling it your way. The enlightened reply, music, is empathy, recalling the haze of sleep. Music. You recall the perpetual worry, the defense drills, the draining chase to become, quote, tutu. You know the awkwardness near those who'd grasped what you craved so fiercely. So their unease doesn't sting personally. Music. It doesn't reflect on you. You just keep showing up, warm, open for chat or shared quiet if they choose. Now, grasp this about these 5 responses. They're never personal. They stem from others' tango with their ego. In awakening, you turn mirror-like. What reflects back isn't you, it's them. Their dreads, their pushback, their grip on their charade. Some gaze and spark with hope. They'll seek your secret. Pose music inquiries. Show intrigue for that serenity you hold. These are the stirring ones, music edging toward their own dawn. They spot in you what they've hunted, unnamed as yet. But others peer and panic, lashing out via the tactics we've covered, demanding reasons, probing you, whispering behind your back, tugging you down, or just squirming near you. All this? The ego's shield against transformation, the lady shooting you a dirty look at the market. She's not eyeing you. She's confronting her own unease, mirrored right back in her direction. That coworker who keeps picking at everything you do isn't truly reacting to your actions. No, they're reacting to how your very essence highlights their own shortcomings. The relative who points fingers, claiming you act superior to the rest, isn't describing you at all. That's their projection, their inner doubts, their dread of shifting gears. Next, hold on to your empathy, knowing that slumbering in ignorance brings real pain. You've been there, stuck in the self's narrow viewpoint, that nagging unease always simmering, forever shielding against phantom dangers. So when folks lash out like this, you recognize the truth. It's a plea beneath the surface, a frantic grasp at the identity they've clung to. Moreover, refuse to tone down your glow just to ease their tension. This matters deeply. Kindness might nudge you to slip into familiar patterns again, feigning drowsiness to blend in, to dodge any splash. Yet that helps no one. Your radiance, your enlightened state, serves as a boon to everyone around. It stirs unease, and that's vital, for that unease sparks doubt, ignites the path to awareness. Additionally, embrace the unfolding. Music. Grasp that enlightenment isn't yours to hand over. Each must uncover it on their own. You're not tasked with rousing the world. Your role is merely to embody wakefulness. By dwelling in that clarity and calm, you extend an option. You demonstrate an alternative exists. How they engage with it is their choice. And music, lastly, hold on to the lightness of it all. After all, music, doesn't it strike you as absurdly amusing? The grand universal prank. Picture it. Awareness masquerading as isolated souls, selves clashing against selves, every one of us overlooking that we're one entity peering through varied lenses. Once this dawns on you, once you truly catch the punchline, laughter bubbles up, not mocking them, but sharing in it. For we're all tangled in this silly drama, music, side by side. Understand, the friction others sense isn't an issue to fix, it's woven into the journey. It's how enlightenment ripples outward. One soul stirs and their essence sends waves. Some ride those waves to their own stirring. Others push back, erect barriers, deny the stirrings, yet the waves persist. The essence endures. The glow keeps piercing. Music. And the ultimate insight, the less you fret over these responses, music, the more potent your essence grows. Striving to validate, to persuade, to force clarity keeps you ensnared in the self's trap. But when you just exist, navigating life in serenity and focus with no hidden motives, no craving for validation or accord, that's where true wonder unfolds. For in that state, you're beyond the fray. No quest for triumph, no barriers raised, no push to enlighten, you're simply there. And existing holds the greatest force imaginable. Existing unravels what the self can't endure. Existing slowly erodes every facade, every narrative, every frantic bid for uniqueness. So allow their outbursts, music, allow their quests for reasons. Allow their probes, allow their whispers, allow their tugs to revert, allow their disquiet. It's merely the rhythm of the movement. It's the essence of the performance. And you stay attuned, mindful, music, unbound. You move across the landscape like streams over stone, breezes among branches, beams through shadow. No pushing, no opposing. Music, just gliding, just existing. And through that pure existence, you deliver the deepest lesson imaginable. A lesson beyond language, a lesson defying description. A lesson that provokes every self it meets by revealing silently that the ruler stands bare, that our shared pretense is merely pretense, that beneath every guise, every disguise, every tale lies only this clarity, this consciousness, this existence. And that, dear companions, is quite